All right.
There we go. I see the sign up there.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started for the Accessibility Advisory Committee agenda. We'll call to order. I think it's 10:06. And so the first item is approval of agenda for today. Is there anything anyone wants to add or change in the agenda?
I'd like to put in something about the blue house. It's totally non-accessible. I don't know where you want to put it.
We can put that in section 8 under accessibility concerns from the public.
Okay.
Linda, did you still want to add something about the sidewalks?
Yes, I did, please.
I think that could go under the same section probably, eh, Colleen or Nicole?
Yep,
okay.
I think so. Okay. There isn't anything else. Would anyone like to move to approve the agenda for today?
So moved.
Sandy's hand and Mary as a seconder. Yep. Everyone else all in favor?
Yes.
All right. I'm assuming everybody I can't see. You have to speak up. Any declarations of pecuniary interests or general nature thereof for today? All right. We'll carry on the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on October 9th. I'm not sure if everyone's had a chance to look it over yet. Were there any changes or errors or omissions? Sandy?
I was absent. I don't know if that counts. It's not on there. So, Tom, you still add those that are absent?
What I've been doing is just noting who was present, not noting who was actually absent from the meeting in the minutes. So I didn't have you listed as present. So as long as you're okay with that, then
I was there in spirit.
Okay.
Anything else from anyone else about the minutes from last meeting? Would anyone like to move to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Linda would like to move to approve that.
All right, Linda, and then Karen seconded. Everyone else in favor?
I am.
All right. Do we have any delegations today, Tom?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
There's nothing on the agenda. So
no,
right.
I just in case, right? Leave it on.
Yeah. So we'll move on to business. 6.1 is accessibility awareness communication about International Day of People with Disabilities. And we had talked last meeting a bit about starting discussions for Accessibility Week of 2021. And do you have a report to share with us, Tom?
Yeah, so originally, Ben, Manager of Economic Development, we had been discussing he was going to attend, but he actually ended up having to take the day off today. So he just provided me with some information for you guys to kind of consider. I guess the first thing is for International Day of People with Disabilities, Mary and myself put together a proclamation to go to council on the 16th that Mary's going to speak to, and I just added like a poster, the official UN International Day of People with Disabilities poster, and a little blurb. The one that I included in the agenda, I actually added a little bit more just to highlight this year's theme, which is that not all disabilities are visible, and that the focus on spreading awareness and understanding of disabilities that are not immediately apparent, such as mental illness, chronic pain or fatigue, sight or hearing impairments, diabetes, brain injuries, neurological disorders, learning differences, and cognitive dysfunctions, among others. So just to kind of raise awareness that, you know, not all disabilities are visible.
Yeah.
So that was a piece of sort of communication that wanted to note for immediate put out about the December 3rd International Day of People with Disabilities. But then Ben, the manager of economic development, made a suggestion, because I was just saying, you know, for Accessibility Week, since we have a fair amount of time leading up to that, we might be able to maybe put together some events or some sort of awareness type events of some sort, and that maybe he could partner with us to really get the word out about those things. So he suggested using a water bill insert. The water bills go out at the end of March. So that's, you know, a little bit closer than the tax bills for this purpose. The tax bills go out in February, I believe. So just a little bit closer to that week in May. And then, so yeah, the tax bill, or sorry, water bill inserts. And then doing like some sort of radio spot closer to the actual week or the events. Ben has just started a newsletter for Brighton that's got a pretty good reach already. I think it's up to a couple hundred subscribers already. So he was saying include that in the effort. So probably the month prior to like, so probably in April, late April or something like that, put an item in the newsletter. Obviously social media can be used prior to and during any events, just to keep building awareness. And that was pretty much it, that with his suggestions. So I guess from here it would be deciding what, if any, events we wanted to organize so that we'd have something to promote.
Yeah.
Sandy?
Jim's on that committee, and I read through this accessibility audit checklist. Can we send that to them?
Sorry, on which committee?
The economic development,
Mm-hmm.
just as a general knowledge, because they're at the beginning of every business that's opening up and changing and everything. And I read this checklist and I thought, boy, the more we can hammer this to anybody, and just for them to pass it around their committee so that each person on that committee is aware of all this, the checklist, which makes things so much easier. I'm very visual.
Karen?
Sandy, we had talked at the last meeting about taking that audit and perhaps Nicole and I taking it around to a couple of businesses who would be interested in having their business audited. And I'm just thinking now to, and so, I mean, to get that sort of out to the Economic Development Committee and other committees as well, I think would be really a good idea. If now, 2 years ago, we had an event, well, it will be 2 years by the time this next Accessibility Week comes up, that was for the public. And previously we've had events, now this is before my time on the committee, but there have been events that have really been focused on council members. But maybe this would be a good year to think about focusing on some businesses who would be interested.
Well, I mean, we are opening up. We're growing.
Very quickly.
Yeah, and the businesses are coming into town. We just heard that Bryant's Auction, which has opened up in Trenton a year or two ago, is building in our industrial mall area. So, I mean, that's not going to staff a whole lot of people, but it is a big business. And as I said, Jim is on the committee, and it just seems a good place to really open up people's, give them more information. And this is so clear, you know, the checklist and everything is so clear. It's my way of reading. So when I was reading it, I thought, geez, Jim, you better take this into the committee and pass it around to everybody. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Karen?
Just thinking about the time that we have at today's meeting, I wonder if we could form a subcommittee to talk about different options for an event next year, and then bring them forward at the next meeting.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, like I know my thought was more hashing out ideas today, and then the subcommittee taking those ideas and coming up with a plan for one of them. But yeah, that would be another way of doing it, where the subcommittee comes up with a whole bunch of options and then brings the options to the committee for next meeting and then makes a plan from there.
Unless there are other ideas right now. Yeah, like maybe do any of the other committee members have an idea of a focus for the next Accessibility Week event?
Hadn't thought about it. Sorry.
One thing I've been thinking about for through you, Nicole, you know, there's the 5 standards, right? And I mean, there's 5 days in a week. It's Accessibility Week. I wonder if we could kind of think about something for each standard on each day in some way. I don't know if that's like feasible, but it's just something that kind of keeps popping in my head, that there's, you know, we got 5 days in a week and we got.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
good
like
idea
the sound of that.
Nicole, could I just bring this thought up?
Of course.
We're still in the throes of COVID, and I am absolutely amazed at what the Digital Archive people have done to promote Canada Day. And then they did the vigil. They've done other things. It may be something they would be interested in helping us with. So, you know, and that does get out to a lot of people. And with I think both of the Canada Day and the other one, you could actually get it on Cogeco. So people that don't have, older people that don't have computers can actually see it on TV. So I can just think of all kinds of possibilities that if they could do it, have the time and are willing to do it, they could show all kinds of instances where people have problems
A different video
navigating.
presentation of it every day.
Yeah. I mean, you've got all kinds of examples. Karen has all kinds. We've got people sitting here on the committee that experience disabilities every day. So I don't know. It's just a thought that just ran through my head now, and I'm not saying that they even have time to do this, but they may be very keen on doing it.
I think it's important to keep note of that, and then maybe once we have a plan, we could approach them to see if they would be able to help with that.
Right. Yeah.
I like the sound of that, Mary.
Looks like Councillor Bateman's got his hand up here, or he's got his hand raised.
No, I was just going to suggest the same thing that Councillor Tadman said. At some point, you invite Digital Archives, because I think they could put together a pretty cool feature on it. Because they might even be able to take what we did before. I think, Mary, you talked about it in the past, where they had it set up in the community center where people had to navigate, whether they were in a wheelchair, so they could see what it was like and stuff. I think Digital Archives could. I think the possibilities are endless if they have the time, like Mary said.
Okay. Anyone else have any other burning ideas of information would be great to get out to the public for Accessibility Week?
Nicole?
Yep.
I always say this because, and you know, because you have kids in hockey, the King Edward Park is probably the busiest spot. So if whenever you get your poster together and your flyer, that's a great spot to have it. And we could put it right on our COVID table and people can pick up a copy of it or read it. And right now on the electronic sign, I've asked Mr. Miller and he's done it. We have the COVID rules there, but we can also utilize that sign to have it electronically as everybody passes through there, because, you know, I'm not pushing the hockey aspect, but from, you know, between minor sports like the figure skating and everybody else, there's a lot of people that go through there. So that's a great way of getting them in person and handing it out. plus it'd be nice to let the youth know and get them educated on this whole thing as well.
Is there anyone who's willing to sit on a subcommittee to go through these ideas and sort of come up with a plan for them? Oh, I see
I
Sandy
would.
at the end.
I promise not to go away.
Yeah, I would. If
Okay, we have Sandy, Karen, and Mary. All right. Are you guys okay to go through with that, the three of you? I think that's a good subcommittee.
we're a good looking bunch anyways.
Thanks, Mary.
I can facilitate the meeting through Zoom if you guys like, if you want to.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be good. If we want to go back to, well, actually, maybe we will leave discussion of the audit checklist. Sandy, you had brought up about sharing the audit checklist. Maybe we'll save that to the next 6.2 when we're actually talking about the checklist, and we can talk about ways of getting it out to everybody. Is that all right with you, Sandy?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to, do you want to read out the proclamation for December 3rd? Or like, do we have to approve that through our committee, or is that already forward?
Yeah, see, because of the timing of this meeting, I had to get it onto the agenda on Wednesday. So fortunately, can't really bring it for approval, but I mean,
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. That's good.
more just to kind of give you guys, yeah.
Karen?
Tom, I just had a question. That little blurb that you read to us that sort of gave more information about the types of invisible disabilities. Is that going to be part of this too, or that little blurb that you read out?
The proclamation that the part that I read was I added to that proclamation.
Perfect.
That's in the print packet or
I
the
love that.
agenda package, just because I felt like we might as well sort of promote what their theme is for the year while we're doing it, kind of, right?
Exactly. I like the sound of that.
So
So as long as Mary's good to read that out.
Yeah, actually,
Sure.
I've got a thought. Actually, that goes maybe with that. You know how for Applefest, I think it was Laura Vink did something in front of Alice Street building. Like it was a Facebook post, or I think it went on the Facebook page about Applefest and how it's going to change. What about doing something like that for December 3rd? And then it can be put on social media for December 3rd with Mary reading the proclamation. Maybe she could even say how we've updated the municipal accessibility plan. You're welcome to go look at it on the website. Here's the address. And then even if anyone in town has accessibility concerns, here's how you can contact the committee. How does that sound?
I like
May
the
I
sound
speak?
of that.
Does Mary like that?
No, you know I'm shy, right?
Oh, so shy.
But I think, Nicole, you're the chair and Tom is our rep from the municipality. I would prefer that you do it. If that's okay with you. I'm
Thinking I could pass it on to you.
Yeah, but see, I think you'd do a much better job, so you should do it.
Okay. All right. I can do that. That's fine.
I don't have a problem doing it, honestly, but I think it would be better because you're the chair of accessibility and Tom is our staff person. So even if the two of you together did that proclamation, I think I'll be there and supporting you, but I would like to see you do it if that's okay with you guys. What about you, Tom? Are you okay to?
I don't know if I can, from running the equipment, go do the proclamation.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
So I run the whole AV system and all that, guys, at the,
Right. Yeah.
meeting. So I just don't know if logistically that would make sense, but
Can we get someone else to do that?
yeah, probably. I'll have to look into that though. I'll check in and see if we can
Okay.
get someone to cover that one.
So was this like a live proclamation reading it that day? Is
Well,
that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
like it could be read out either by someone or it could just be read by the mayor as well. That's the other way to do it.
Mhm. I just didn't know if it needed to come from someone on council.
No. But definitely when it comes before council, both Mark and I will be able to speak about the proclamation. Are we receiving a flag, Tom?
I'm not sure. I didn't know about anything about a flag, but
Usually those, you know, when we're asked to do proclamations, usually they have a flag that's a symbol of, like this one for accessibility. So
right. Oh, that's a good point.
it just gives a little more attention to it. And also you'd be standing out in front of the flagpole and having it raised. So maybe you could check into that.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
we
guess
don't
we're
have a
talking about,
flag. I feel like we're coming in full circle because we did the whole going around to the schools and having a flag made, and then we decided to make it into a banner instead of a flag. So we don't have a flag.
No, we don't have one.
well, the one that's going, so the proclamation that's going to be at the meeting on Monday is to proclaim December 3rd as International Day of People with Disabilities in the municipality of Brighton. And then, so are we talking about another, like two different aspects of this basically, like as in maybe on the actual December 3rd?
Yeah.
So on,
That's
yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Okay, I see what you're saying, Mary. So we could do that, Nicole. Like if you want to maybe on December 3rd, do like a little Facebook video or something with Ben, like out in front of the library or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we could even record it the day before, and it's just, you know, on
Absolutely.
The thing is, Tom, or Nicole, through you, is that very few people go on Zoom for a council meeting, I understand. And there's very few people that attend other than the council and staff. So Monday night, it's not going to go very far.
Yeah.
And I think you guys doing it out in front of there, at least more people will be aware.
Okay. Well, Tom and I can touch base about setting that up. Yeah, we'll get that ready for December 3rd.
And excuse me, once again, Nicole, and if you can let us know when you're planning on doing that, anybody on the accessibility committee could be invited to be there to represent the committee, I guess, and support the proclamation.
Yep, we can let everybody know for sure.
Okay.
Nicole?
Yep.
So when that video, when you do that on December 3rd, that's going to be shared, I would assume, on the municipal Facebook page and sent out the normal ways. Is it possible? Is it possible if you want to get even a further reach, and then the e-newsletter and stuff, they'll all hit certain quantities of people. What if we reached out to all the local businesses and the other organizations, because we all have Facebook pages and web pages, and asked if they'd be willing to share that video? And then between all of those, you would probably hit just about every person that has a means to seeing it online, because not everybody goes to the e-newsletter, not everybody goes to the minor sports, but if you combine them all, it would get the viewership would be through the roof.
Yeah. I'm just concerned timing wise because it's only 3 weeks away. So contacting everyone and getting everyone on board ahead of time before we release it, I'm concerned about the time for that. Tom?
Yeah, I think Ben would probably have the ability. I don't want to put him in, volunteer him without him being here, but I know that he's pretty savvy on the social media stuff, and I think he'd be able to connect those dots probably for us. Like if we just kind of get that video together, and then just kind of tell them, you know, sort of get as many shares as you can on this with other groups.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, would that work like along your lines there, Mark? Or
Yeah, because once the videos, as long as he contacts the group, because if I look at our Facebook page and web page for minor hockey, we get a lot of views on that, and not just within the municipality, because we get views outside. But in a non-COVID year, because of tournaments and stuff like that, we get thousands and thousands of views on, depending on what we put on there. And I'm sure, excuse me, other businesses get the same. So your reach would be really much further.
Mhm.
Excuse me, Nicole, just for a second, because Councillor Bateman has suggested this. I wonder if the committee would be willing to, and if he's willing, that he could work with Ben to get this out to as many people. I like putting Bateman on the spot.
I'll sit on any committee, Mary.
There you go.
Always willing to help. That's not the
All right.
subcommittee you're on, right, Councillor Tadman?
So Nicole, maybe Tom could speak to Ben and they could maybe arrange a meeting, because I know it's short notice, but between Mark and Ben, they probably could get this together in time. Is
Yep.
that okay?
Yep. Yeah, so I think the plan
You're
is
it,
that
Bateman.
the
Thanks,
plan
Councillor
is that Tom and I will touch base with Ben about, and Mark could be in there too, about the process. We'll get it set up. We'll let everyone know when we're going to do the video if you wanted to come and attend. Yeah, then we'll go from there.
Good.
Is that okay with everybody? Sandy?
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Pardon
who's
me?
Ben? Who's Ben?
He's the manager of economic development and communications.
Okay, thank you.
He's probably on the committee with Jim.
Yes, I wasn't sure if you were talking Brighton or Belleville or, okay.
Oh, right.
Oh. All right. Are we good on accessibility awareness communication? Are we good on that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We will move on to the review of the accessibility audit checklist. I know we talked about it at the last meeting. I had brought it forward. Karen and I talked about going and doing a trial run with the business. We've been a little busy, and I know you've been busy. Karen and I have been too, so we haven't quite had a chance to do that yet. But it'd be nice to just talk about ideas of how to share. I love the idea of bringing it to the Economic Development Committee as well as the DBIA to be able to share it with a lot of the businesses here in Brighton and even Chamber of Commerce as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is it enough to send it out to them by email to the chairs to share with the committee? What do you guys think?
It sounds like a good plan.
Karen? Yeah.
I was just thinking that what would be, I'm really just brainstorming right now, but I love the checklist. I think it's really great. It's very intuitive. I think anybody could be able to work through it and assess their workplace or their business. And I'm just wondering if we could almost do something where we would send it to various businesses, and if they complete it and send it back, we could give them an accessibility rating, like a star or a sticker that goes on their business door to say, I've completed the check. I don't know. I'm just, like I say, I'm just brainstorming right now. But something to say that they've actually participated in it. It doesn't mean they have to have a perfect outcome of the checklist, but that they've actually participated in it. I don't know, just an idea that popped in my head right now.
Good idea.
Mhm.
I think that's good, Karen.
Excuse me.
Bless you. I don't want to put pressure on businesses to think they have to have a perfectly accessible thing on first glance.
No.
It's something that takes time, and that's why these things are, put in place over a 5-year period, right? So that that people can take the time to really thoughtfully make the changes that they need to make. So I don't know, just an idea.
Mhm. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I guess what I can do is I can set up an email maybe and send the checklist off to the chair of the Economic Development Committee, the Chamber of Commerce, and DBIA, just to say, here is our checklist. Please share it with members of your committee as an option for looking at accessibility. And then if we want to go through with Karen's idea, we can sort of, I don't know, think about ways of bringing that forward. Tom?
I was just going to say, so we're actually, Ben and I are going to be organizing the first meeting of the Economic Development Committee, Advisory Committee.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a representative from the DBIA and the Chamber of Commerce on that committee.
Oh, okay.
So we could actually make this an agenda item on their first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be presented like in the agenda package, and then they can have a discussion on that. We could have it as a delegation from you, Nicole, if you wanted to take that route too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't mind coming to the meeting if that's going to help it come a bit more forward. Then instead of just being an insert,
Yeah.
I could do that too if you let me know when that is.
Okay. So do you want to start with that because it's like, I think we're looking at like the second week of December for that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could follow up with an email with those chairs once
Yep.
or whatever you think really, but just kind of
Yep.
thinking out loud.
Sandy,
Nicole?
your hand up.
Yes, I was just going to suggest, I know the Economic Development Committee is very large. Could we suggest that each one have a copy of this? So that when the president or the chair is talking about it, each one has one of these rather than just discussing it. I don't know how they do it, but
I think if it's in their agenda, like if it's in their agenda package, wouldn't it be printed in that package, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
so they would all have a copy of it.
okay, thank you.
Mark, did I hear your voice in there or no?
Yeah, I was going to ask if you would be available and willing to come to the Cotterton Community Center Association committee meeting. I sit on that association. No staff member sits on it. I sit on it as a counselor. I think that would be a good committee to come and relay this message to.
Mhm.
Our next meeting's on December 1st. I can confirm it and send it to you, and I can let Debbie, our chair, know. And I don't think it'll be you adding you to it, because that would then bring in a lot of the people in the rural area and bring them up to speed. And that can,
And it just, it depends what time of day that meeting is.
it's usually at night, but I'll double check and I'll email you later this afternoon.
I might be working late that night, but we'll see. If not, then maybe I could put a call out to the committee to see who else could go, or maybe Karen, you could go.
Yeah, we offer it via Zoom as well, so we can send you the Zoom link that if somebody can Zoom in, whether it's yourself or whoever.
Okay. Do we want to, I'm just thinking time-wise, because I know you probably have to get on the road soon, Karen. Do we want to put in the thought about the reward, the sticker to businesses if they've completed the audit checklist? Do we want to package that with Accessibility Week stuff as sort of something with the Accessibility Week? Or do we want that something on its own? What does everybody think?
I think that's a good idea.
I
Karen?
think it'd be
Think we
good
could.
with accessibility week
Mhm.
myself, because the more we have out there, the more we'll get recognition. I don't know if that's the right word.
Karen, did you?
I agree for sure that we could possibly have the checklist completed before that week, and maybe even have some presentations during that week. If we do the 5-day, we could really give like really concrete examples to say, this is an example of, under each of the 5 categories, and maybe have businesses, just highlight how they're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
our little subcommittee has our, this is like the work of the subcommittee is being done right now, but I feel like it's great. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just added that to your list. So, all right. Is there, we probably need a motion that the committee adopt the accessibility audit checklist as presented. Before we do that, is there any changes to it? Did anyone see anything that was something obviously missing or needs to be changed? Or is everybody okay with it? Karen?
I think until we've actually used it, we can't really make any changes to it. I should say that until we use it, then we could really, highlight any changes that need to be made. So I would accept it as is, with the idea that once it's actually implemented with a couple of businesses, we may find some changes that we might want to make. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, I think then my brain goes to, should we be bringing it to economic development in December if we want to trial it first? Should we be trialing it first and then bring it to economic development sometime in the new year?
Nicole?
Yep.
I agree with Karen, because we can move forward with it now, but we can always amend it later. But we want to get it out as quickly as we can to use it as a tool. So I would say you want to have a resolution now to accept this, and I think that's what we should do now.
Okay. Karen?
Tom, I would just want to ask Tom, would it be appropriate to forward this as a draft to that committee, or no? Would it look sort of
I think it's probably like kind of a living document anyway, right? Like it's probably,
Right.
The standards continue to change. I mean, it's subject to change, I think, right? Like,
okay. Yeah. So I think that we could just continue with the original plan of bringing it to the Economic Development Committee on December, was it 3rd?
Yeah.
First?
We didn't set the official date yet. We're looking like the second week of December.
Okay, as it is, and then and just maybe note that it is a living document and that it may see some different incarnations, so to speak, and but this is where we're starting from. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If everyone's in favor, then would anyone like to put forward the motion that the committee accept the accessibility audit checklist as presented?
I will.
Okay, I'll second it then.
So Mary and Linda, and everyone in favor?
Yes.
Me.
All right, awesome. Thank you. It'll be nice to see that up and going. It's funny how we call it a draft, and like, actually, I think we've had it for a couple of years.
Yes.
If we move on to 6.3, accessibility plan, phase 2. I know I sent you that email this morning, Tom. I looked at it this morning. I'm like, it looks wonderful. Thank you.
Oh,
You've
that's
worked
awesome.
so hard on that.
It looks great.
Cool.
Has everyone had a chance to look at what Tom has worked on, getting all our goals in there and plan?
Yes.
Were there any questions or thoughts or things that you thought needed to be changed on it? Karen?
I think the first time we mentioned the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, we should put comma 2005 so
Okay.
that people have have that context to it.
Sure.
And I did have, sorry, being the wordsmith on the committee here, I'm just looking at the vision statement. It says all people in Brighton, regardless of age and ability, have barrier-free access to full and equal participation in the community, including opportunities to work, shop, travel, and play. It says it's written for work, shop, travel, and play. I think it should be 2, but I don't know if anyone else.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Is there anything else in there that anyone thought was missing or needs to be tweaked a bit?
It's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
You're the man, Tom.
Thanks. So my sort of idea, just through you, Nicole, and just kind of to bring you guys up to speed on what I was thinking or where I was going with it, I was thinking that would be sort of the plan proper, you know, that is the sort of document we put as the face of it. And then as I kind of added this point to the agenda, I thought maybe like we could have either 1 or 2 appendices. One being some sort of list of accomplishments or achievements that we've accomplished at the municipality of Brighton for accessibility, just to kind of like, you know, show, and I know there's maybe a lot of things that haven't been accomplished, but it's a good starting place when you're going to list things that need to be done, I think, to say what we have accomplished. It kind of, it's a more optimistic way of kind of presenting that. So I thought, you know, either that could be its own sort of appendix to the plan, and then the second part would be the actual, we can start building a work plan with departments based on the goals that we've set as another appendix. Or they could be the same part. It could be past achievements, future work to be completed or something.
I like the idea of separating them out into 2 different ones.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too, Nicole. And I think there is some things that we can boast about and bring it to the attention of not only council, but the residents.
Yeah.
For instance, the sidewalks, hopefully it all holds up over the winter. I'm not going to brag too much at this point, but until I see that they're still functioning very well, most of them. And the painting of the curbs and everything was an important achievement for people with any kind of vision problems or any other kind of problems. I think the lights are working better now. I haven't heard as many complaints. And Linda, that would be something that you certainly would give us input on. But for the most part, it's always good to have a little bit or a lot, if we can do it, of positive before you try to work on what isn't as positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Karen, you had your hand up? Oh, you're on mute.
Here I am. Just on the list of things that we've accomplished, Project Lifesaver with the Alzheimer's Society was one of the things that we did achieve here in the last couple years.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I had a couple that I had listed. You guys tell me if you think these should be included. So the accessible wayfinding signage installation at 35 Alice.
Mhm.
I was thinking maybe the staff training
Yes.
or the training session that we did, right? Like that was kind of an accomplishment to bring everybody together. The checklist, the accessibility audit checklist.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that's a cool achievement right there. And accessible customer service policy was another one that's actually being worked on right now, and it's part of the strategic plan. I'm hoping it gets through before the end of this year, because then we could include it on this list of accomplishments. But we'll see about that.
Well, and I think getting the plan updated is a goal as well,
Mhm. Right.
or something that's been achieved, because it's nice to see it all done up looking nice.
Well, it's nice. It helps us as a body of people that are working towards having things more accessible. And I think back to how long it took to get some sidewalks done. But you know, we have the Moby mats that Sandy pushed for a long time, and we've had a lot of problems with high waters with that. But we can also mention things like that. And this swing, although it wasn't exactly the best accessible swing, I guess, to begin with. Do you have any more information on that, Nicole? Now, is it working well for those who need to use that or would like to use that?
I know I have a family that loved it pre-COVID. I don't know if they've been back this year because they have been incredibly careful.
Okay.
Yes, so I know I haven't heard any updates on it.
Okay. But it is there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that may be something that some residents don't know about, that they could go there and use that swing. And I mean, and it's also for, like, seniors could go there in a wheelchair and use the swing. Isn't that correct?
No, I don't think that's correct about seniors. It's built for a child.
I'm not
I
sure
thought
what the
it.
implications on it are. I'm not sure.
Okay. I kind of understood that it could hold like an adult's body weight too. But I can always go back to Jim and ask him about that.
Yeah, I would think there would probably be a plaque on it for weight restrictions.
You're right.
Because really, swings are for all.
Mhm.
I would go on a swing myself as an adult at a park. So
Yeah.
okay. I guess were we sticking with just 2020, Tom?
Well, I kind of put it as like 2018 to 2020, like, so,
Okay.
you know, because the last plan was made in 2018. So it's like, you know, what did we get to over the last couple of years? So, and you guys can always email, if you think of something else, you can email me and I can add it to the list. But if anyone has anything else to add right now, I'm making the list right now, so.
I think the other two things I had emailed you were the accessibility day that we ran in May 2019, as well as development of our accessibility banner.
Right.
Karen, you had your hand up. Was there anything else?
Nothing else.
But if anyone thinks of anything that should be on that list, give Tom an email and he'll add it to the list to add to the plan.
I think it's terrific.
Okay, so we've made the list of notable accomplishments. So I guess the next step then is to endorse the accessible plan. Is that it, Tom?
Yeah, like if you guys sort of give that endorsement, I can actually start putting it up on the website, and we can actually start kind of using it as our plan.
Okay. All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So who would like to bring that forward? I guess I can bring that forward. I'll bring that forward.
Yeah.
And Karen put her hand up so she could second it. Everyone in favor?
Linda,
Yes.
I'm assuming all the people I can't see are in favor. So awesome. That's great. And awesome work, Tom. It looks great. And everybody else for helping get all the goals together.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll move on to reports.
Hi, Mary.
I'm just gonna let you have a peek and then I'm gonna hide again.
We'll move
Where's
on to
Bateman?
I don't want you following me anymore, Mary, so I'm in a secret location.
I'm not that desperate.
and I know Colleen has said she doesn't have a webcam, so that's why we don't see her. So we'll all wave
Okay.
to Colleen anyways and know that she's waving back.
Hi, Colleen.
So we'll move on to 7.1, arena accessible viewing area. Tom was great. He reached out to Jim, and there is an email in our package back from Jim as to the setup now, that the area is still locked off and the glass is blocked off. And that's to follow COVID protocols, because it's true, if the glass wasn't blocked off, people would be standing there watching through the gate. So I can totally see that point. And so right now there is signage that was put up in place just to say that if you need an accessible viewing area, let the staff know, and then they can quickly take that down.
Yeah.
Sandy?
I read Jim's note yesterday very briefly, and I guess I need to go over to the arena and see for myself what's going on, because it just, the idea of not being able to stand around in the big hallways, and I need to go over, I guess, and see.
Well, I think with COVID, it's really different there this year. There's specific lanes as to where to go. And even as parents watching a game, it's really limited who can attend.
Yes.
So
That's
I
a
don't know,
tough
Mark,
time.
Mark, have you heard anything else from anyone there at the arena about it?
Yes and no. The only thing I would say, if anybody's going to drop by the arena, is maybe call ahead of time and see what user group has it, because I can only speak for minor hockey, that you just can't drop by because you won't get past our COVID table. If you're not registered for hockey, we're not going to let you pass the table. And on that note, for the most part, the COVID rules have been followed. I haven't had anybody approach me about that blocked off area, but I did send out to our organization and my executive somewhat a stern letter, because everybody's been following the rules, but we don't want people slipping. So, and I only mention that because you won't get past the COVID table, because if you're not registered, we can't let people pass.
Okay.
But if I hear of anything about that viewing area, I'll certainly pass it on.
Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions or thoughts on that? Okay. So we'll move on to 7.2, website accessibility compliance. I'm going to pass that one on to Tom, because I think you can speak on that one.
Yeah, so this is a pretty hot topic in municipal governments right now. I guess any public sector organization. So the deadline, I'll just read this a little bit to you here. So section 14 of the Integrated Accessibility Standards under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act requires that all public sector websites, including online content such as council agendas, minutes, and other PDF documents, forms, images, and videos, must be compliant with the World Wide Web Consortium's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which is WCAG acronym 2.0, level AA by January 1st, 2021. So that deadline is fast approaching. Almost all municipalities are in the same boat where they're not fully compliant right now. But so the deadline is January 1st, but as far as I understand, almost everybody's requesting an extension to this deadline, at least so that they can spend the year implementing plans to bring things up to the guidelines. So on that note, I did include in the agenda, I believe, so the town of Amherstburg was kind of one of the first ones off the block in Ontario to pass a resolution to formally request an extension to that deadline. And they also actually requested funding to provide training and resources to meet those standards, because it's a fair amount of work, to be honest. You have to go back to 2012. Anything on your website past 2012 has to be fully accessible. And with PDF documents, that can be quite an undertaking. I do have a lot of experience with making accessible PDFs and website content and things like that, but it's not a one-man job by any means. So what we've done here is I established a working group. So it consists of me, Ben Hagerman, the manager of economic development and communications, and a member of the public works division team, technical expert over there that is just really tech savvy and really good on anything technology oriented. So the three of us, we broke this project into 3 parts. Project 1 is to update our policies guide and develop a work plan. And the idea there is that we'll update our policies and submit a formal request to the province with a developed work plan before the end of this year. So that's going to come to council, I'm hoping the last meeting in December, so for approval. And then so all the policies and the work plan can be submitted with our formal request for the extension. So that's sort of phase 1 of the project. Phase 2 is actually reviewing the existing website content to see what are the immediate areas of concern and fixing those right away. So we've broken that up into tasks for each of the members of the work group. And then part 3 of the project is to handle the actual PDFs and attachments that are on the website. And the approach there that we're taking is to mitigate anything that's noted as kind of essential to have up there based on any metrics that we're getting from the website. Like, it's been viewed in the past certain amount of time and certain sort of number of views over a certain period. That when they're higher in those numbers, we're going to mitigate them immediately and replace them with the fixed PDFs. And then for pretty much everything else, we're actually going to do a mass removal of documents. And then start this phase 3 of the project, which is to consistently work on these PDFs throughout the year and get them back up in a fully accessible format. Because at least that brings us to a certain level of compliance right away, where everything that we have on the website is compliant. And then we can improve that by furthering the content out with accessible content going forward. So yeah, I thought it'd be good to update you guys with that and see if you had any input from on the website side of things. Like if you guys have noticed anything that you would think is not accessible on the website.
Karen?
I can't comment on the website right now, but I think it might be really helpful for our committee to see what the before and after looks like, so that, you know, we have a better idea of what that is, you know, what that looks like.
Yeah. So through you, Nicole, that is part of the plan as well. So we're gonna every step of the way, we're gonna be documenting what we have done, so that we can show that, you know, where we've made the accessibility improvements. So I can submit that to you guys as a report kind of as we go. Now, one good thing about our website, the existing website, it's with the eSolutions group. They kind of specialize in municipal websites, and the way their content management system works is it, you know, as long as you kind of follow the style guide, the content is actually accessible almost immediately. It's just where users would, like, let's say they put a whole paragraph in all caps, you know, things like that. Obviously, is out of control of the website proper. It's just the user content. And obviously, you know, the issue there would be that a screen reader, someone using a screen reader, or maybe they have like a learning disability, it's going to seem like you're yelling at them, right? with a whole all caps message. So it's things like that, you know, that's just one example, but, you know, tagging images for screen readers, just different things like that we're going to go through, make sure that the existing content falls into those guidelines, which are all in that level AA WCAG guideline.
Karen, you had your hand up?
Well, I was just even thinking that I'm not sure even I know what an accessible PDF is. Do you know what I mean? Like just really just showing us what a PDF is, and then showing us what the same PDF looks like when it's accessible.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can do up like maybe like some sort of report for you guys for the next, or example for the next meeting if you like.
Or even if you wanted for the next meeting, just share your screen and show an example of accessible versus not accessible.
Okay.
That might be easier than pulling up a report or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I'll make a note for that.
Any other thoughts or comments from anyone on the committee? Karen?
I was just wondering, are we also going to suggest do something similar to what Amherstburg has done?
Right. So did I put I guess my original thought was that, and I guess I just didn't maybe make the recommendation on there, but was that maybe this committee would endorse that resolution, and we could push that forward to council for their endorsement as well.
Yeah. Excuse me, Nicole. So Tom, through you, Nicole, to Tom. So are you thinking that we would approach the clerk to have it put on the agenda ahead of time, or are we going to go through the minutes?
Well, I guess that's something we can talk about here. So my thinking, as I said, with that 3 phases of the project was that we would formally request the extension with our work plan and policies updated. And I was kind of originally thinking that this endorsement would go along with that. But that said, I guess there's nothing really, I mean, we could just it could just be endorsed separate too. Like you could endorse this resolution from the town of Amherstburg, and that could just go to council in early December to be added to the agenda.
Yeah, some of these things get lost in the minutes. So I would propose that we have, well, we can't direct council, but we can say that we support the resolution. So, so to get it on the agenda without having the minutes passed, how are we going to go about that, Tom? Did it come through Candace to begin with?
Well, no,
then
I received it, and I have already discussed it with Candace, and she thought that if the committee supported it and made the recommendation, we could include it on the next agenda.
Okay, then let's do that. Go that way. Is that what everybody else would like?
Yeah, that was my thought when we were
Okay.
talking. I'm like, okay, how can the committee support that? Because I know the Amherstburg was done by council itself, not a committee of council. So I wasn't sure if the committee of council has as much say or whether it's something that we need to bring directly to council for council to have their own resolution.
Well, I think Tom made it clear then. In our minutes, we just want to acknowledge that we do support the motion. And then Tom he's already talked to Candace about it. So they could get it put on the agenda so that it's that much quicker to get it supported and sent out.
Yeah, okay.
We definitely do need more time. And that's part of that motion too.
Exactly, yeah.
So what you have listed here on the agenda, that the committee received the verbal report from Deputy Clerk regarding actions taken to comply to AODA and WCAG level AA website accessibility guidelines. Is that good enough, or do we need something separate?
No, I'm putting one together here. So
Okay.
As a separate one, that we can say that the committee support the town of Amherstburg resolution. Well, I'll include the resolution number. I don't need to read it off right now. And that the committee recommend council endorse the resolution and send to the province. Like, or I don't know how we want to work that part, but
yeah, you'll figure out the verbiage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to read it out, or is that good enough for everyone to say we support it?
It's good enough for me because I know Tom and Candace will get it right too for us to support as council.
I would support it, Linda.
So, Mary, do you want your name on it as a mover, as the first mover?
Sure.
And Linda, a seconder?
Yes, that would be fine.
Everybody else in favor? All right. So that's carried then. And thank you, Tom. That looks like it's a lot of work to get that going and organized.
Well, I mean, like I said, these guys kind of jumped on it, and there's already been, as far as I know, probably 15 other municipal governments have supported it. So, and that's only in a couple weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you. So I think we can move on now, Tom. All right, we can move on, or do you have anything else to say about that?
No, that's all good as long as you guys are good with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to accessibility concerns from the public. I know it was funny this morning. I almost re-rented a car on Main Street because I'm driving along getting the kids to school, and I looked over and I see that they're putting a ramp in at the Antique Emporium that's now going to be a dental office, but they've actually taken out the step and they're putting in a ramp there into that building. So I was really excited when I saw that.
Yeah.
So I have Blue House written down from Sandy. So did you want to talk about that one?
Well, I was in there last week. You probably have all been in since she moved everything into the Blue House. There's nothing other than the aisles. There's nothing accessible about it. And I guess there's nothing we can do about it. And I think she's probably on the DIB, the downtown committee. So if our accessibility audit is going to be presented at the committee meetings, maybe that might do the trick. But I did, when I was in the shop, I said there's nothing accessible here, and I was in with my boot on and my poles and everything. So there's nothing accessible. So, but I don't understand. She bought the house 3 years ago. So does that mean she's grandfathered into that house in the shape that it's in, even though she's done a lot of renovations to it and it's not handicap accessible?
I think new renovations are supposed to follow code, but without seeing it, I don't know what the scope of that is in this case. So I can't really speak to it. I don't know if you guys are more familiar with it.
Well, it has stairs going up and a porch. So there's no ramp at the stairs. There's no ramp at the door, which is another step up. The door is not wide enough, and the flooring is okay, but it's a 2-story building. So even if Linda and I could get into the first floor, we couldn't get up to the second floor. It's just a lot of money has gone into it, and I don't see anything that's accessible about it other than the floor plan is open.
And I'm not sure how it fits under accessibility guidelines, whether because it's an existing business and she took it over, whether she needs to do accessibility upgrades, or maybe there's actually a plan in the future to change that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I did say to her that it wasn't accessible, and she just went. So I don't know if it's in the plans, as you said. You know, maybe in the plans. It didn't sound like it.
Okay. Well, hopefully maybe getting the audit checklist out will be something that might tweak it as well. And I know I haven't been in, but once I go in, I would probably mention it because I tend to do that.
I do too. Well, I was clumping around, and I did try to get up the stairs. It's just to get into it. It's a beautiful building. It's just gorgeous. And she has room to put ramps in for the first floor, if nothing else. Anyway, we just brought it to your attention since it's only up there. It's only been open for 2 weeks.
Yep. Linda?
Yes, I was recently there. And for the 2 stairs going up to the porch and then the 3rd stair into the building, it exhausted me. I was able to get around, like Sandy said, there's plenty of room to walk around with your cane, but it's just getting in and then getting out. It's not someplace that I'm going to be able to go very often, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's definitely good feedback to give the owner to let them know that they're going to miss out on business, right?
Yeah.
Yes, considering it's Willow that's in there and it's a clothing store that I appreciated, I could get in the side door in the other location. And then this location isn't going to be as easy for me to get in, so.
Okay, the next one on the list was sidewalks. I think, Linda, you were gonna.
Yes, I want to say that the company that put this new sidewalks in and put them level with the old sidewalks, and when they take the sidewalks down into the street to get on and off the sidewalks, they've just been excellent. I've ridden over the new sidewalks. There's no bump, there's no tripping area, anything. They just did a wonderful job, and I'm glad that we hired them to do that job because it's really good. Okay, now I have another one with sidewalks. The sidewalks and grates on Harbor Street have got so rusty that they don't look safe to walk on. Some are bent into the area below them. Some are being moved off between the two sidewalks, shifted somehow. And they're all so rusty, they hardly look capable of holding people's weight.
Okay.
It's something we really have to look into. I'm not sure how long that sidewalk's been done, but doesn't seem like very long ago. So that was a big thing.
Is that something, Tom, that we can put forward as a concern to, is it Public Works?
Yes. Nicole, may I speak?
Yep.
I have been complaining about that, and thank you, Linda, for bringing it up again. I've been complaining for the longest time. You don't leave metal unpainted. We all know what happens to metal. It rusts, and it's actually bleeding into the sidewalk, making it even look worse. I do believe that it's safe, Sandy. I don't think you have a problem with safety so much as that they need to be painted. They need to be taken and sandblasted and painted with a good coats of paint. But if there is areas where there is, not a complete smooth path through, then that needs to be brought up. So can we note that in our minutes, Tom, so that when we are discussing to accept the minutes of the accessibility, it frees Mark and I up to bring that up again. I don't know how many more times I can bring the same thing up. They get a little tired of me whining, but I think the residents put a lot of money into that sidewalk, and why would we not at least paint the metal? It should have been done right from the beginning. So if it's in the minutes, then I definitely will be able to speak about it. Otherwise, I can't bring it up in a meeting. So if you can do that, that would be great. And I was talking to Tom before the meeting, and I don't know, I think it was you, Mark, also that spoke to me about it and sent it in to the Director of Public Works. But I noticed yesterday when I was coming from the back of the post office to go to use the ramp, just before I hit the ramp, there's two big men, it looks like men's feet unless it's a woman with big feet, pressed into the sidewalk, which is going to be a real tripping hazard. So that's something that if we put it in the minutes, we can bring it up. Did you not bring that up before, Mark?
Nicole, through you. Yes, I brought that to Preston Parkinson's attention. I sent a message. He wasn't aware of it because when I noticed them, they were covered in leaves. So in defense of anybody that may not have seen them, you couldn't really see them. And I only discovered it because I stepped in it. So I uncovered them and I took pictures of it and sent it to Preston. He said the crew would be back to repair them. Because there was other spots, there was a couple sidewalks where some animals had walked through and made some pretty big divots, and they had to go back and repair those. These were ones that they just didn't see because of the leaves had covered them up. So they are supposed to go back and fix them up.
It's through you again, Nicole, but it's always good to have it a reminder, because obviously they get overwhelmed by complaints and
The same crew. I don't know if they've started the sidewalk up in Smithfield, the new one that was supposed to be put up in the new safety
I
zone.
heard that they had, so I don't know if they're still here, but that's an area that they should be called back to fix. And if there's any others that Linda or anybody that sees there's a problem, we should note that and bring it up in our minutes so that it can be addressed. It cost a lot of money to do those sidewalks, so we don't want them not good.
Linda, I'm sorry. I would motion that we put that in our minutes, and if everybody thinks that's a good idea, I think we should definitely vote on it if it makes it more easy for the council to accept our recommendation.
Tom?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think like I totally agree. We'll have it in the minutes and everything, but you know, with the training session that we had and sort of to try to include staff in the process more, I was already thinking that what we would do is get a report from Preston at the next meeting. So I can just give him this list of things that these are from our minutes, but these are the items that we want him to speak to, basically, at the next meeting.
Yeah, Nicole, may I speak again?
Yep.
And I think what Linda had to say about the sidewalk should be part of what we put in these minutes, because she has experienced really good results with it. So, you know, we start off with lots of honey and then we throw a little whatever hot sauce on it.
Okay, but no, if you could bring that forward to Preston, so then you know, even requesting a report back for next meeting, that would be great.
Okay.
Linda, did you have your hand up again?
Yes, I did. And
Yep.
I can't take hot sauce. It's too hard on my stomach, but that's besides the point. I wrote down something because I'm very, we mentioned the buttons at the main and most busy two streets in Brighton, Main Street and Prince Edward Street. There is 4 other places in our town where buttons are supplied so people can cross safely. The one by Division Street on Main Street. Some places don't have buttons, but they at least have the little man crossing when the green light's going our way. The crosswalk with the flashing lights on Elizabeth Street. 2 weeks ago, the children are taught to stay on the sidewalk until the crossing guard comes to the middle and then has them go across. While the crossing guard was getting to the middle, a car went through. Now, I don't know why somebody wouldn't notice the flashing yellow lights there, but it went right through. So we were lucky that the children have learned the lesson to stay on the sidewalk, or we might have had somebody hurt there. The other place we have is the entrance on the west side of No Frills. There's a button there to cross safely to get to the store. We still haven't fixed the corner so that I can come out that entrance to push the button on the south side to get to the north side. But we've kind of left that behind for a couple of years to talk about.
That
The
would be nice
buttons
to add
are-
to the list for Preston, because there is an accessible button to hit, but there's no
Yes.
actual sidewalk or anything that you
No,
can hit the button.
there isn't. I can't get, plus the gravel is very loose there.
Mhm.
If I got out and stepped on it, I might end up down that hill, you know? So it is possible. Oh, Terry Fox and Elizabeth Street is also the other one. Terry Fox, I believe there's some repair going to go on there about the buttons because one of the buttons is not working correctly at this time. And I believe I was told that it was reported by the crossing guard there. So I'm sure that's correct. The main thing is our worst crossing is at Main Street and Prince Edward. The most unsafe area in town where we're not helping people to cross the street safely. And I'm really alarmed that it's the last place that we have to put buttons to make it safe. I had thought that was going to happen when they put up the new lights this summer. The countdown is okay. I mean, I guess it makes people hurry a bit. But the whole point that is if you're got a green light for traffic to go ahead. But you also have the walking sign to cross, so you're safely. It just doesn't work. And to stop traffic, I think, is the most important thing we can do for people to get across that crosswalk safely. Any sidewalk right at that corner. It sounds ridiculous to say stop the traffic, but we're stopping it at other areas where it's working. So why not at our busiest crossing?
I think,
And-
Linda, did you notice that there's a delay now? So the crosswalk actually turns on, like the walking symbol turns on while the traffic is stopped. So you can get across before the traffic goes.
No, I'm sorry, I haven't noticed
you-
it. But then I haven't been up there the last 2 weeks because of the colder weather.
No, actually, it just changed, actually, I would say in the last 2 or 3 weeks, that now at the lights for, if you're going to cross from Sobeys over across to where Blossoms used to be, there's actual traffic where the traffic stops. And I think for about, it's maybe 20 seconds, the pedestrian light comes on. So the pedestrians can start walking before the light changes. So it actually helps you can see movement.
I haven't crossed that way
Yeah.
for quite a long time. I haven't been into Sobeys for about a year and a half
Oh, okay.
because of the COVID mostly.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't noticed that. And if I get a chance to go out, because they say tomorrow the weather's going to be decent, I might get and check that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But it should be on each corner. Yes, it
Yeah.
should be on each corner.
Yeah,
Well, that's good news then.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for listening to me now. I'm done.
We love your opinion, Linda. That's why everyone on here is essential on the committee. So everyone needs their chance to have their say.
Well, thank you.
Tom?
I just wanted to clarify. So what was the intersection with the gravel
Okay.
corner?
The intersection is on the south side of Elizabeth Street to come out of No Frills,
Okay.
to go to the north side so that I'm driving along the sidewalk. It's all rough gravel there. And I can't get off my scooter quick enough to push the button because it's unsafe for me to stand there.
Yeah.
And get back on my scooter to cross. Well, it's still, the walking man's there to cross. The sign for crossing is there.
Okay.
I just, and it has been a few years, and I guess because I've kind of forgotten about it, and I haven't been up to No Frills too often, like probably in the last year and a half either, because of COVID. So,
Okay.
And yes, you're right, Linda. It's been on the list for a while.
yes.
All right. Yeah, I'll submit that list over to Preston to speak
Preston.
to you guys at the next meeting.
Well, thank you very much, Tom.
Okay. Is there anything else then for that one? Okay. I don't believe there's any correspondence in the agenda package for that one. So I guess the last thing is our next meeting date. If we go for the second Friday. It is December 11th. Is everyone okay for December 11th at 10?
Linda, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Yes.
And do we wish to do over Zoom or do we wish to do in person? What's everyone's preference?
For me, my preference is Zoom because the weather's getting worse and I'm not going to get out to come to in person.
Karen?
Me too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with Zoom. That's okay with me. Any objections to that?
No, I'm fine with it.
Such a digital age we've become into, eh?
Mhm.
Can't
Okay.
stand it, but Say's getting dressed for my lower half.
Oh, thanks, Sandy.
All right, so we'll plan on December 11th at 10 a.m. For our next meeting. And yeah, I think the next thing is just to adjourn the meeting. Anyone like to move to adjourn the meeting?
Me.
I'll
Mary
move to
first,
adjourn
and
Linda.
Linda
or
second.
second it.
I
Either
knew
way.
Mary was going to.
Yeah, she
Oh,
always
okay.
does.
Yeah.
All right. So
My
then-
job.
Everybody stay healthy
You
with this
too,
COVID.
Thank you.
You
See
too.
you in a month.
Thank